Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, I am so excited about tonight's broadcast, just like I was excited about last night, the night before, and the night before. It's been a week of survival stories here on the Ella Johnson Show. I told you guys it was a revival. So if tonight is your first night tuning in, no worries. Just go to Facebook and play it all back because we have had some incredible guests, some incredible topics, some heart wrenching stories here on the Ella Johnson Show. That's what we like to do. You know, we like to bring real people here that can just bless your socks off with their stories because we have all been through some things, right, Nakia? We've all been through
Yes.
some things. And we live to tell it. And Nakia is here tonight because she's going to share her story with you. And let me tell you guys, you don't want to miss this one. All right. I know I say that every night. And you know why? Because it's true, because they're all good stuff. They're all good stories, and they'll bless you. Because if you know someone who is suffering from domestic violence, I don't care what they're doing. You tell them, stop watching television, stop watching and this stuff that's not going to help your life. Tune in and watch Nakia, hear her story, be blessed, be encouraged, and be inspired. Because no matter what part of life you are at right now, you might know someone that is suffering in silence. And it attacks all families. It doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter your social status, it doesn't matter about any of that. Domestic violence is real. But I want to thank you for tuning in. If you're watching from YouTube, I appreciate you. You know I do. And I love my people who have subscribed. But if you are watching through the link, please do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Since you're already there, if you're watching from Facebook, thank you. If you are watching from LinkedIn, hello, and subscribe as well. And if you are watching from Esteem TV in West Africa, yes, the Ella Johnson Show is in Africa. My Liberian friends support the show, and I appreciate you, and I love you guys so much. I know it's late there, but I just want to welcome all of you to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, what I want you guys to think about as you're watching tonight's broadcast. How many times have you heard me talk about the pits can be a pathway to your palace, right? Or I've said some people want the success, but nobody wants the struggle, right? I've said that so many times here on this broadcast. Well, listen, you're going to find out that tonight, Nakia had to bite from that apple. But it is the reason she is the woman that she is today.
Amen.
Now, not only now, this is the thing I want you guys to think about. And I want y'all to pray for her as she's sharing her story tonight. Not only did she almost die in her domestic violence, but she lost her mind not one time, twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. And it can happen to anyone. Well, she survived it. You know why? Because God knew that she was going to be here on the Ella Johnson Show, blessing people with her story. So you're going to get a chance to meet this beautiful woman, but we're going to take a short break. Y'all know how it goes here on the Ella Johnson Show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Share the broadcast. We'll be right back. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. You know, one day someone asked me, Ella, why do you do talk shows? Like, why is this so important to you? I said, because I want people to know that God does use us. Because sometimes things don't happen to you, they happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So stay tuned. It's all coming up next. The Ella Johnson Show. Hello, everyone, and we are back. Listen, I want to thank you guys so much for always supporting the Ella Johnson Show. I have people that send me messages throughout the day and say, "Hey, Ella, I watched the show last night. Great topic, great show." Well, listen, it is for everyone. This may say the Ella Johnson Show, but it's your show as well. So if you
Mhm.
have an idea or a suggestion, or you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, it's for everybody. Come here, share your story, share your struggle, even if you haven't gotten on the other side. Come to the Ella Johnson Show to be encouraged to get to the other side. Well, listen, I'm going to do something a little different tonight than I usually do. I am going to now put in the comments the link to my studio. So if there's anyone watching this broadcast and you want to come on, whether you want to just come and encourage people, or if you want to come and encourage Nakia, or just be on the show to comment, respond to questions, or if you're a survivor and you want to share, I'm going to put that link here right now for you if you would like to be a part of tonight. So, right now, I just put into the show, you'll see that link. If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show tonight, I know we haven't planned it, but that's okay, right? That's okay. Because I just believe that God is going to do a new thing here on the Ella Johnson Show, and He's going to do it tonight. So if you want to be here, just click on that link, follow the instructions, and you too will be right here on this in the studio with us. Right, Nakia? There's room
Yes.
for, right?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, listen, I'm glad you guys can see me because all my lights just went out over here. But to God be the glory, right? Uh, but I appreciate you so much, Nakia, for coming on and agreeing to be my guest tonight, share your
Amen.
story. But I want you guys to know who she is. Nakia is a certified life coach and case manager. She is the reigning, and she has her sash on right now. She's the reigning 2023 Miss Texas Regency International. Yes, we have a celeb in the building, Miss Texas. She is a survivor and advocate for sexual abuse and domestic violence.
Mhm.
Now, how many of us understand, truly understand, that our pain is the thing that creates our passion, right? Well, let me tell you what she's passionate about. Her passion is found in helping others, and she does it through her business, Integral Solutions Coaching Services. Okay. Now, currently, she is a psychology major student, but she's on her way to becoming a paralegal. And with that, she's going to be in the prison doing her prison ministry. And there
Mhm.
is definitely room for that, guys. I am so excited. She has a heart for helping people, and she's also committed to assisting the homeless, men and women in prison, and those who find themselves victims, victims of sexual abuse and domestic violence. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Nakia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I am so excited to have you here. And I like again, I said I appreciate you for sharing your story. I'm gonna put this here, guys. This is what I just put up for anyone who wants to be on the broadcast. Click on this link, and you will be right here in the studio. You might want to come in and share something you've been through as it relates to sexual abuse or domestic violence, or you might just want to come here to support Nakia and just wish her well, or you just might want to be here and hang out with us. Whatever the case may be, you are welcome. I want you guys to pay attention to um, the message scrolling across the bottom. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE. Okay,
Mhm.
we can't be afraid to reach out to these programs to get some help. Okay, it's not a perfect system, but we have to start a conversation, because tonight, after this broadcast, after listening to this story, we hope that you will find a way to make a decision to get out before it's too late. Okay, because you know what, Nakia, the reason I started doing shows about domestic violence is because my cousin, beautiful as she is, 41 years old, we had no idea that she was suffering with a situation with a man. And I had just seen her for Thanksgiving, November 2020. And 2 days later, she was on life support, because when she
Oh.
made it back home, he had a fit. He went into a rage, and he took a belt and put it around her neck and held her up, I guess, for too long of a time. And then he dropped her where she was unconscious and she never came back to us. Okay.
Oh.
So I knew that there had to be something that I could do. This was my way of saying, let's not let that happen to someone else. Okay.
Mhm.
So tonight you're going to hear the signs. You're going to hear stuff that she went through that maybe she heard and ignored. And I hope that you won't hear it and ignore it. We like to think that we can make them better, right, Nakia?
Mhm.
We
Yes.
like to think that I can just pray him. But some of this stuff is not something you can pray them through. You have to really get some help and get some counseling. And they need it too. And I just want to make it known that this show is not about bashing people who are um, out here abusing people, because this show has enough love for everybody. They
Mhm.
need help too. If you are someone who has abused people, you're just as welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, because we love on everybody. Everybody
Mhm.
needs help. Nobody's perfect, right? So
Yes.
again, I just want to welcome you to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Takia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, isn't she beautiful? I see why you. First of all, let's state the obvious. Okay, that's what we do here. Because you are beautiful and you have a beautiful spirit. And you know,
Thank
you
you.
were on here the other night with Nisi because you wanted to just give her some love, and I thought that was beautiful. And it turned and it was crazy how it ended up, because you called her to give her some love, but she loved you so much. She was just like, yeah, I know that, but let me love on you. And I thought
Yes.
that was a beautiful moment here on the Ella Johnson Show, because that's what women do. We don't
Yes.
knock the crown off others. We like to straighten it, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, we
that's
do.
what we like to do here. So let's just jump in. I want you to tell us, take me back to, where did you grow up? Let's start there.
Okay, so I currently reside in Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. I
Okay.
moved to Texas about 6 years ago.
Okay. So you grew up in Tennessee.
Hmm.
Pretty much. Okay. So what was it like in Tennessee? I mean, for a young black girl. Let's go back to your childhood. What was that like? Pretty comfortable?
Yeah, I had a pretty good childhood. I was Memphis is kind of rough, of course. Growing up in the poverty-stricken areas of Memphis, South Memphis, Tennessee. But my mom had us in a very good community. It was like an elderly community. It was just basically when I got in high school, is where I had a choice of friends, and that's where it led me into the avenues of all of the things that I ended up getting into. Caused me to rebel. As my granny would say, smelling your piss, wanted to be grown early.
Girl, now I know you are country. What
Country,
did they no, they called it smelling yourself. That's what they used to
smelling
say in
yourself.
Alabama, smelling yourself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You smelling yourself.
So
And
talk to
so,
me about some of those things that you used to get into.
yeah, so I played sports. I was a cheerleader, major red pom pom girl. I played JV basketball, track, softball, all of those things in school. My mom made sure I was very active in the community centers and in school. But when I went into high school, I was raped at 15 by my friends. I guess she would say it's her uncle. It was her aunt's boyfriend. We went over their house one night, smoking weed, doing what we're not supposed to be doing, and I was raped by him. And so that led me into a life of homosexuality. So in dealing with that, because I felt like what happened to me with a man, if I'm with a woman, that I would be more safe, and that couldn't happen to me again, because I was a virgin at the time. Even more so, I was introduced to homosexuality in high school, playing basketball, tomboys. I was a tomboy, raised with all boys. So it was something that the enemy used as a trail to try to get me off track, because of what God was calling me to do. And so with that, I started young, living a life of lesbianism, and being with women, because, like I said, being a rape victim, I felt. The enemy made me think I was safe with women. That a man would not be able to harm me and hurt me, off of what I went through with the demise of rape at an early age.
So let's go back. Oh my gosh. 15, the 15-year-old Nakia, you're a cheerleader, you're
Mhm,
involved in school. You
mhm,
just so happened to go over to one of your friends' house.
mhm.
Was it, can you I know this is a very sensitive topic, but can you describe what happened when you got to the house? And
Oh,
how
so
old was this guy?
I know that he probably was like 40 or 30 something years old, late 30s, early 40s, possibly. He was an older uncle. Um,
Had you
I
seen
went
him before? Had you seen him before?
He gave us rides home, and so that's why I thought it was safe, you know. And I really didn't know anything about drugs. I didn't know anything about the streets. Like my mom didn't raise us around it, you know. We couldn't go nowhere, couldn't spend over people's house. Like my mom was old school. That's how she raised us. So as I got a little older, I was able to get a little more leeway, especially being into sports and stuff and having friends from school. I went over there. I had never smoked weed before. And so when that happened, when I smoked weed, that's when he eased up on me. My friend supposedly went to the store, and we were in her room, and it was like a 2 bedroom apartment then in South Memphis. And he stayed there. She walked, and I will definitely get to that. I never told anyone until I was older. But I stayed over there at the house while she went to the store. And he came in the room and started trying to, of course, sit by me, rub my leg, talk to me. And I was like, hey, hey. Because at this time, I was already kind of like indecisive on my sexuality preference. I was already, you know, like saying that, oh, I think I kind of like women, but, you know, I still was talking to boys because I was 15. And that's when the enemy was opening up that avenue to me through sports with other girls who were walking in that arena. And so I went in the room and she went to the store. I was in the room, we playing music, you know, we smoked some weed and he bought us the weed and the alcohol. And so he comes in there rubbing and touching on me and I'm like, hey, hey, like, you know, like, no, I don't feel comfortable. I'm a virgin. Um, and so he was like, no, it's okay to feel good. And I'm like, no, it's not okay to feel good. You know, and my mom was kind of older. She never had the birds and the bees talk with us, you know, but you hear about girls that's in school because they was like what my granny would say, they was fast. They was already having sex. 14, 15 years old. They was already hot in the tail, what they would say.
Yeah.
And so I basically told him that, like, no, I don't feel comfortable. And that's when he basically held me down and told me that I'm going to give him what he want. He gave me what I want, which was I suggest was weed and alcohol. And he took advantage of me. Um, I told my friend, and she didn't believe me. She came back like maybe it wasn't even that long. So she came back like maybe 20, 25 minutes later. Um, and I told her like the next few days, and she was like, "No, no, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. You know, he goes to my aunt. I don't believe that. You know." And so after that, you know, I didn't know then about telling somebody, going to somebody. I could press charges because there was something that was never introduced to me or something that I would know that I would go through. I didn't even have talks about sex and things like that because I was taught like to wait for marriage. You know, we were raised in the church. So that wasn't something that was like I was knowledgeable of to say.
So let me ask you a question though. When you went home that night, was your mom there?
Yeah, so I went home. He dropped me off. I was beating on the door really bad. I was crying. I was hurt. I was ashamed. And she was like, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" And I just was crying, you know, and just like, you know, just in an uproar. I never said anything because I was so ashamed, you know, to tell her that that happened to me. And so I
Was your
never.
body in pain though? Was your body in pain? Were you bleeding
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff too?
Yeah, when I went in the restroom, I felt like I had a rush of having to pee. I did see some blood. Um, and so when I saw that, I was just in the bathroom for like hours and I was crying. And even in that instance, in like the next few days, I had went into a deep depression and I overdosed on Tylenol. I went into a
Oh,
depression and I took a lot of pills and I had to go to the hospital because of what I had went through. And so that's when my mom was saying that, you know, she think it was, they always say they think it's mental health, it's something wrong with you. I started rebelling. I started, you know, because of the anger and the frustration, I started becoming real rebellious. I overdosed on my mom.
Wait a minute.
Went,
Let's go back to the hospital because I want to
Mhm,
make sure that we really unpack this. When you went to the hospital and you
mhm.
OD'd on Tylenol, there had to be some questions asked at this
Well, yeah,
hospital.
they pumped my stomach. They asked my mom a lot of questions like, has she been having trouble in school? Do you know she's being bullied? Like back then, it was like I went to high school 99 through 2002. So, mhm.
Okay, I'm so sorry. There was one thing I forgot to do. Plug up my computer. That would have
That's
been bad.
okay. And
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
so
Let's finish. Okay.
they thought that they were asking my mom, like, is it behavioral issues? Like, is you think that it's something that's going on with her mentally? Like, why would she do this? So then they referred me out to mental health and psychiatry. And so they gave us a referral through our insurance to the behavior counseling that was in our neighborhood. And I started having in-home a psychiatrist to come out and see me every week. Dr. Alice Davis. I never forget her. She was so nice. And she came to my home every day. I mean, every week, seeing me as my psychiatrist.
Did she ask questions about being sexually active? Because she's
She did.
trained. She did.
Yeah, she was asking about, are you sexually active? Have you ever did any sexual you know, actions? Do you know how to prepare for that? So that's when I started having the talks. By that time I was turning about 16 then. And then my answers were no. So I'm like, no, you know, no, I don't, because in my mind I'm like, no, I'm not sexually active. So and then I'm trying to harbor and not think about the rape that happened.
Yeah, I
So
can
I'm thinking
understand,
like, no,
sweetheart.
I'm not
Yep.
sexually active, you know.
Yep.
And if I speak about this, I'm really ashamed to say that this happened to me, you know. And then the person of who it is, everybody know. And come to find out, he was a person that like pimped girls out. He pimped girls out.
Oh,
And so he was pimping out my friend and her other friend, who I originally went over there to see. I found this out like some months or so later. He was pimping young girls out, and he was going with her auntie, and they were all living in the same
now
home.
your friend, which is your auntie's daughter, her auntie, your friend that you
That's
were
her
at their
niece.
house.
Mm-hmm.
He was pimping her niece.
Mm-hmm. And she worked a lot. I think she was a nurse, possibly, but
Oh,
whatever it was, she worked a lot. So, and he had been around for I guess a long time. So, by the fact of the matter of them trusting him to
yeah.
watch her, keep her, he introduced her to drugs. You know how they do? They ease up on you. They introduce you to drugs, introduce you to alcohol. They buy it for you. So I'm thinking, you know, as I grew and learned more about it, I was like, maybe he was even doing this to her. That's why she was telling me like she didn't believe it or didn't want it because she didn't want it to be exposed about her.
Yeah, I
You
I was
know?
thinking that exact same thing.
Yeah,
She probably was exposed to this.
yeah. And it
Oh
probably
my
was
gosh.
something that was continual and it was something thrown under the rug that wasn't supposed to be spoke on. So,
Well,
you
you know,
know, they
back in
can
the day,
mhm,
in the
they
South,
don't talk about it.
exactly. That
Hmm.
was a rule. What goes on in this house
Stays in this
stays in
house.
this house. Yeah, and that
Or
was the
the
worst thing
mom or
that
the
they could have done to
auntie or
us.
the grandmama, like
Yeah,
they don't believe you. Like, no, he didn't do that. He wouldn't do that. You need to stop telling that lie. Like they don't believe. And that's why people have so much childhood trauma because they endured all of those things that people make them believe didn't happen to them.
yeah. So now that this has happened to you, you coped with it by taking those pills. You get out of the hospital. Were
Hmm.
you feeling a little better, a little more in control, or were you like, you know what, I'm gonna go buck wild now? What was your attitude?
I started getting rebellious. I became a cutter. I started releasing my feelings through. I was having emotional trances. You know, I was suicidal, and I was a cutter. I still have the scars on my arm to this day. I used to cut my arm all the time. I used to sit on the porch and cut my arm and just cut myself. And this is when I was like 16 years old. I was a cutter, and that was the way that I released how I felt. And it was because I was taught that, because I had friends in school that was doing that, and they were like, "Oh, this is a way that you can release it." But really, to them, it was something totally different than what I knew. Like, I didn't know the standard of why they were doing that. But I became a cutter. And then I started smoking weed because, of course, I was introduced to it. And then I met a lot of friends. I was skipping school. I was smoking weed. I was drinking. We had this little pool hall down the street that one of my friends' dad owned. And we used to cut school and go down into the basement of it and hang out and smoke weed. Like, instead of being in study hall, we go to the basement. And it was like walking distance from the school. So we all either catch a ride with one of our friends who had a car, or we catch the bus down the street and cut school and skip school down there.
So this is very interesting because there are parents watching this broadcast and they have teenagers, young
Mm-hmm.
kids, and we get so busy, and I am so guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm.
We're so busy and caught up in our jobs. Oh, she just mad because she can't go this place, or we start justifying your behavior, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't recognize that our child is crying out.
Mm-hmm.
Did your mom, I because I'm very curious to know what your life was like inside the house.
Yeah,
What
my
was that
mom was
like?
a hardworking mother, a single mother of three. She was a church-going woman. My mother has no knowledge of the streets. Like, she don't even get a speeding ticket. And so the things that I was encountering and doing in the generation of what she wasn't brought up in, she just thought it was behavioral issues. uh, she didn't know. She didn't know until the psychiatrist started seeing and understanding what was going on with me, and then she started basically letting her know, like, this is beyond behavioral, and then they want to diagnose you as mental, and then they want to put you on medication, and everything is mental. When really it wasn't mental, it was an emotional battle that I was fighting within myself from trauma.
So what were your grades like?
I was on a roll. I was a great. I
So
was
you were
always.
going through all of this stuff,
Hmm.
but you were still able to maintain at school. And that's probably because you knew that if you didn't get your grades, you couldn't be a cheerleader. You couldn't be in
Hmm.
all those
I was
activities.
functioning with it.
Yeah.
I was National Honor Society A's and B's, but 12th grade, I ended up getting expelled and put out of high school. So I didn't go to prom. I didn't go to my senior activities, any of that, because I was fighting my own demons so rough and never just really fully dealing with it. Like, I was having therapy like 2 years or so, but I still was fighting my own demons because I was out there smoking weed. I was drinking. I was rebelling. I was sneaking out, getting fake IDs, sneaking out the back window and the back door, going to the clubs with my friends at 16, 17 years old. And so all of those things start coming into play. And then I was introduced to other avenues, like, because my friends were gay. So I was going to gay clubs. I was introduced to, I was basically opening myself up to demonic alliances and demonic interference with people. And so I was attracting the wrong type of friends and the wrong things. And I ran away from home. And my mom, I'll never forget, my mom and her church members found out where I was, and they came and got me, took me to the police precinct. And back then, you could pay for your child to stay at juvenile over the weekend. They paid for me to stay at
I've
juvenile on the
never
weekend.
heard of that.
In Memphis back
Wow.
then, they could pay like $50 a day to make you stay in juvenile. So my mom and her church members, Sister Rose, I never forget, they took me to the precinct because they had already put out a missing person and runaway. When they got me, they took me to the Whitehaven precinct. The police took me to juvenile, and they stayed for me to stay a weekend in juvenile.
Now you know that your mom and her friends were doing the
Mm-hmm.
best they could.
Yeah, she said,
They
you're gonna have to
didn't
learn
know
the
any
hard way.
better.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
learn the hard way. So I said, all right.
That tough love.
Yeah, tough
Now,
love.
at this point, the only person, because now you're about what, 16, 17
16,
ish?
17. Mm-hmm.
At this point, had you told anyone else other than your friend about the rape?
No.
So you kept that secret still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now that you're in this, what you had already been attracted to girls. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that way long, but you suppressed it.
Yeah.
This rape, do you think that this rape is what caused you to say, you know what? I'm just gonna go with women because men
Mm-hmm.
hurt you. Is
Yeah.
that how you justify that?
Yeah. I said, like, I could never, I won't have to go through that demise and that hurt and that frustration again. And then as it was this thing called Chatline, and I was on Chatline. I was meeting older women. And so these women like buy you everything you want. That's how I was getting fake IDs. I was getting the weed. I was getting clothes, everything I want, going to Goldsmith and Macy's and dealers. And so I was getting everything. And then I was working. My mom she taught us a lot of ethics and moral. I had my first job at 16. So I was working. So that was giving me a little freedom. But I was still sneaking out the house, sneaking during school hours with other women. And I'm like, wow, like this life is really, good. The enemy making me think this because these
Of
women buy
course.
me everything. I'm getting everything I want. So I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I won't have to worry about that with women.
So I gotta go back here. You mean to tell me there were grown women, like how old? Like,
So my first girlfriend when I was like 16 was Yolanda. Yolanda had 2 children. And she was a lead manager at FedEx. Yolanda was probably about Yolanda was about 30 some years old, like 32, 33. And I was 16 going on 17.
and you guys were in an open relationship, or was it
Yeah.
secret?
Well, no, it was like secret, but it was like, oh, she's my good friend,
Gotcha.
And I was getting everything I wanted.
So how was that? How did she make you feel? Did you feel complete at this point that you could make it now?
I feel like, being young, of course, you get what you want. You get all the Jordans, you get all the shoes, you get clothes, you get money in your pocket. She old enough, she can give me weed. She got a brother that sell weed. Like I can get everything I want, So being young, I'm like, I'm living good, I'm working, making my money, keeping my money, but I'm getting what I want from her. So that, being young with that type of mentality and then not even ever experiencing that was like,
So how
oh,
long
okay.
were you in a relationship with her?
I was in a relationship with Yolanda for quite some time. And then she started getting really jealous and stuff. And then I stopped talking to her like maybe some months, maybe 8, 9 months or so.
Did she ever abuse you?
No, she used to always come get me from school, come bring me lunch at school. She would, on the weekends, I would go over there. Like she would actually like literally pick me up. My mom was and she was like, she wasn't a like boyish girl. So my mom would think like, oh, she's a good friend. And so, and then she thinking that I'm going over there with her nieces and her kids. And really I'm going over there because I can go smoke weed and be free and live how I want. So, yeah.
Wow. And so she came to your house, so your mom saw her, and your
Yeah.
mom just thought
Like
she
my
was
mom
just a
didn't
good
play that.
friend.
Like wherever you go, like I'm gonna meet whoever you go. I'm gonna get their phone number. I need to talk to them. Like my
Right.
mom, because when we were younger, we couldn't go spend that on people's house. So when I started getting of age to do that, she was like, "All right, well, I need to make sure that you're gonna be okay. I need to meet this person, this and that."
So that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're working, you have this relationship with her. When did that relationship ever go bad with Yolanda? When it went bad, she was jealous. And did
Yeah,
you
she
break up
was
with
jealous.
her? You broke
Yeah,
up
because
with her?
when I got put out of school, my mom had put a real tight, close knit on me. And so, I got my phone took and all that. So I really couldn't really talk to people a lot anymore and stuff like that. And I
How
started
did you
going
handle
through.
that? When mom took your phone and now she's trying to discipline you. How did you respond to that?
I was still working, so I would just like talk to people like through my coworkers. They phone or get
You
them to
found
text
a
people
way.
for me.
Yeah.
I'm
Don't
like,
we find
my
a
friends
way?
like, when you come to work, you can just text them on my phone. Like, all right, because they want to
Oh
eat
yeah.
too, so they like tell them to bring it up here. So yeah.
So so did you ever go to jail while you were younger?
I went to jail, and that's how I met my second girlfriend at 17. She was 34, and her name was Carla Crane, Cece. She was a big time queen pin, and
She
she
was a
likes
big
young
time
girls.
what?
A
Queen
big time
pin?
queen pin, big time drug distributor.
What does that mean? Like,
Like she drug trafficked and deal with like big quantities of drugs and like distributed through the city for people for what they
oh
need at
wow.
their dope homes and things like that.
Is that
Yeah,
why you went
her.
to jail? Handling drugs?
No, I went to jail for like aggravated assault, like fighting and stuff like that. But I met her there, and she was there when they was trying to bound me over as an adult, and I was 17, turning 18, and she was 34. And she was like, when I get out, I'm gonna come for you. Like she had multiple businesses, like car washes, car lots. She bought her mom like an alteration shop. Her mom were really gifted with like doing alterations for like lawyers and attorneys and dresses and weddings and stuff like that. But she was investing her money and she was using those locations to store her drugs. And me being
Gotcha.
young, I didn't know that. I was just like, she bought me in. When I met her, I got out, we got back in touch. She had a lot of money. And so by Yolanda already teaching me the ropes on like being with somebody that's gonna take care of you and give you money, I'm like, oh, okay, so I got it better here. And so I started talking to her, and she was on drugs as well. She was a distributor of cocaine and different things like that. And one night we went to Gay Pride, and I got really, really drunk off tequila. And she had her brother, like she was so big, she had security guards and everything. And she had her brother and her security to take me into the bathroom in the back room and give me coke to wake up because I was really drunk. And they say when you take a bump of coke and everything, it sobers you up.
That was your first experience with cocaine?
That was my first experience with cocaine. And
Oh,
so
why did
they
she do
introduced me
that
to
though?
cocaine.
Why
Yeah.
did she do that?
Yeah, I was like 18 by this time. And I was dancing. I had stopped working. I had went to dancing. So I was dancing in the clubs. And so I was like, wow, like, of course, when you get that little taste, and then they doing it all night, all day, like all of her friends were big time drug users. And so I started using drugs, doing ecstasy, Xanax, cocaine, weed, partying. She goes to all, like, it's this area in Memphis called Midtown. It's like a whole gay community. And it's like they have big techno gay clubs. Like all weekend, they're like lit till like 6 a.m. all night. And she was the distributor of that community because she was a well-known lesbian and well-known drug distributor. So we would go to the clubs, and then Gay Pride is a really big thing. So we go to Gay Pride like with backpacks of drugs and just like sell out and just like be up to like the next day. And so then and I started dancing in the clubs, and so me and her started talking. She was like, "Hey, I got a few girls at your club that like to get high. You can start taking it in." So that introduced me to start selling drugs in the strip club. So when I was going to the strip club, I would have girls waiting on me to get their hit and get their dope for the night to last them to make money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, with all the other extra drugs and everything,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, because I've never done drugs, so I might sound a little crazy when I ask questions, right? So why take all of that? Did they all give you like a different feel, or what was
Yeah,
the
especially
reason?
like at first I was introduced to cocaine, and I wasn't doing it as much as them, like nowhere near it all. Like I would just like get a little drunk, take a little few bumps, and then like when we go out, she would be like, "Here, this your own pack." And so like I would have my own like little $50 pack that I would have like to have for the night. Like if I feel like I'm getting too, because I was a drinker, I drink and smoke weed. But if I feel like I'm getting a little too drunk, because we have to stay up and be alert because
Right.
we in the club selling. And so if I feel like I'm getting a little too much because I'm taking too many shots with friends and stuff, I go in the bathroom, take a little few bumps, this and that. And then my first time taking ecstasy was Gay Pride. We were in a techno club. Ecstasy is a really big drug in the clubs, especially in techno, especially at big events and everything like that. And she was like, "Here, just take this. You will like it." Me trusting her as my girlfriend. I was with her for 8 years. This was my
Oh,
abuse.
wow.
This is the one
Did
who was my
you
abuse.
loved her, right? You were in love with
Yes.
her.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was young, I was pretty, I was a dancer. And when I got older, I didn't realize like that was the kind of girl she liked. All of her ex-girlfriends were like girls from the streets, girls who were strippers, girl who made money. They kind of like call her like a madam. Like she'll bait
Okay.
girls in, take care of them, I'm talking about. And that's the kind of girls that she liked. Introduce them to drugs, give them all the drugs they want, buy them everything they want. They go make their money. But like she started being controlling, abusive, combative, emotionally and verbally abusive. I mean, she started just like flipped out. Like the first 2-3 years, it was like, oh, okay, like it's all good. Like I'm getting everything I want, put me in a townhouse. I was going to school and dancing. I was getting everything I want. I didn't even have to work because she started saying, "Oh, I don't want you to dance no more." She used to get mad about certain men at the club that she used to say they used to like me. And I'm like, they don't like me. Like they just spend their money. She like, "No, I want you to go to work tonight. I want you to go with me to the club to sell dope." So she started becoming controlling. Then I became isolated. I started being pulled away from my friends and my family. And that's how it
Mm.
started, and it led into abuse.
So talk to me about the very first incident of abuse with this lady.
She dragged me out the strip club. Like I said, she used to come in the club, and
Mm-hmm.
she thought that a guy was on me too much. She used to be so high, and she dragged me out the club by my hair and told me I don't need to work. And she could, of course, she was cool with the owners and the bodyguard. They let her come in and do what she gonna do because she giving them, a cut. So they like, well, she don't want you working here. So I'm like, okay, I can't work
So
no
they
more.
basically let you go because of her.
It was like, yeah, because
Wow.
she bringing money. She got all the
Right.
drugs. She giving them a big cut, and they like, we can't, because that's how it is in the game. Like, I ain't finna mess up my flow for you.
Right.
Like, just 'cause you gonna get what you want. Just go with her. Like, so.
So you ended up, so what happened that night? She drug you out of the club and then what?
She drug me out of, she started becoming really jealous. She drug me out the club and was like, you all in that NIGGA phase, you all this and that, you all what you like men and this and that. And I'm like, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just getting my money, She's like, no, it was way more than that. You ain't going back there. You ain't. I worked at Babes, and then I worked at Kings of Clubs. This was at Babes, and she was like, you're not going back there. And I'm like, okay. She was like, don't I give you everything you need? Manipulated. You don't even need to do that. I told you, you don't have to do that. You don't need to do it. I give you everything you need. And so that's how that went. And then I'm like, okay. And I'm going to school. So I was like, and I was getting, money. If I asked her for anything, like, I would get $800, $1,000, $500.
Was she hitting you though? Did she hit you?
She didn't hit me that night. That first night, she just dragged me at the club. And I was just thinking, like, oh, she was just really high. She just got mad.
Right.
She thought that, because I was like maybe 18, 19 at the time. I was young. And so I was like, all right, she just
When
probably
was the
was.
first time she actually hit you?
The first time she actually hit me was in her room with a cordless phone. We got to tussling and got to fighting about people texting my phone. And they were asking me when I was coming to the club. Of course, she was saying I couldn't go back to the club. And she hit me with a cordless phone, and it made my ear stick out like Dumbo. And my ear was swollen for like almost 2 weeks. She
Oh
hit
my
me with
gosh.
a cordless phone.
Did
Yeah.
she apologize? What?
She's like, yeah, I'm sorry, go get flowers. She was very narcissistic. She make you feel like if you don't do this type of stuff, then you won't have to worry about this happening to you again, and things like that. If you don't do this again, you don't have to worry about it. Making me think like it's my fault.
Of course. That I was just gonna say that is exactly what
Mm-hmm.
abusers do. Because they don't want to feel like they're this bad. So you
Uh-huh.
had to have done something to make
Right.
me act like this. You need to stop doing this, and then I want to act like this. I want to bring the comment back up, Queen Chief of Three Kings. And she says, as a lesbian, I've personally never experienced domestic violence, but I do know lesbians who have. People are people, male or female.
Yes,
So
it's a big thing in
yeah.
LGBT. It's more, it's even more with male, but male with female. The dominant aggressor, what we call stud ones, which are the ones that's tomboyish. They feel like some of them, not all of them, feel like they have to be that way. They have to be aggressive. They have to show themselves strong and put fear in people because that's the mindset and the tactic that they have, that they don't want to be weak.
Wow. You know what? Do you have other friends that have similar stories? Because
Yes.
I've never interviewed someone who was in a lesbian relationship. It's
Mhm.
usually men being abused by women, but I've never crossed into this threshold where we have women abusing other
Yeah.
women.
I actually
Wow.
mentor and coach now a lot of my old friends, even people who have found me by sharing my story and being transparent. I did this lunch with my shirt business called the Rainbow Revival, and I said, "Make America Straight Again." Oh my God, Facebook went wild behind that. They shared my status over 3,000 times, bashing me and talking about me. And oh, you still gay? You can't say you ain't gay no more. You ain't this, you ain't that. But even in them sharing my stuff, some people came to me and was like, "Hey, I'm really struggling. Like, I don't want to be gay anymore. Or like, I've been getting abused in my relationships with this relationship, men and women." So when I launched that, I had like maybe 13 people, even in Zimbabwe, even in other continents and countries, that came to me and said, "I'm struggling with this. Can you help me?" Because I was offering free coaching sessions and free counseling for people who, were going through any parts of my story that they felt that they needed help in. And yeah, it was a big thing. It was a big
Well,
thing.
anybody that wants to share their story, I want you to feel free to let them know, because we can have a night here on the Ella Johnson Show. We can have a week where each night, and you can co-host with me, each
Yeah.
night we can bring people on, because this is a place of healing, not
Yes.
judgment,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not
Right.
going to try to pray them straight. That's not what I'm here to do.
That's right.
That's between them and God. My job is to make sure that our heart is right.
That's
That
right.
we want to wake up the next day. That's
Mhm.
important to the Ella Johnson Show, because it's important to God.
That's
So
right.
we're not here to judge,
That's right.
Okay, so now you're in this relationship with her, and she's not looking the same anymore, is she? Now you're looking
No.
at her like, you know what? You get her the side eye now, right?
Yeah.
So was there ever a time? When was the next time? Because there's always a next time. When was the next time?
So she used to wake me up beating on me. She used to slap me just out the blue in front of people. It was very much so verbally. She would embarrass me and shame me in front of her friends, belittle me, degrade me, talk about all this. You ain't benefit me no way. You just taking all my money. You just this and that. After you told me don't, like, I was making really good money stripping. Like I stripped for like maybe 2 years. Even after it got to a really bad point of one time that she left me, she put me in her back outhouse and locked me in the back outhouse and called my family and told my family to come get me, and they couldn't find me. And so after that, I ended up leaving her alone for a while. I never called the police, because in the streets and in the game, the code is we don't deal with the police. So that was the mindset that I had. We don't call the police. She told my family to come get me. If they don't come get me, she's gonna kill me. They couldn't find me. She locked me in her outhouse. And so after that, her brother and them came and got me, and she was like, "Are you gonna act right? Are you gonna act right?"
Wait a minute. She locked you in the outhouse.
She locked me in. We were staying
Did
in
she let you eat?
townhome.
Did you eat? Did
I was
you?
out there for like maybe a whole day, locked in, because you have a townhome, and out back on the patio you have that little room on the patio
Yeah.
where you can
Yeah.
lock stuff up that you don't. That's where she had me locked in. And and I remember her brother was coming out there checking on me. She was telling him, "Don't take on that B. Don't take on that B. Let her stay there. She don't want to act right. She gonna have to learn how to act right." And I mean, they kidnapped me before. They kidnapped me and put me in trunks, rolled me to Mississippi. She whipped me in the woods and poured an ice cold Sprite all over me with open whips and scratches. She choked me until I blacked out. She bust my nose, knocked teeth out. I got my teeth done 2 years ago. I was missing like maybe 3-4 teeth due to abuse. And she tried to kill me. So it got to the point of where I left her and I went and started back in the clubs, and I met my child's father. And he was abusive, and he was using drugs as well. So at that point,
Wait a minute. Let's go before we go to that, because I'm just sitting here. I have all these questions in my head about this woman, because your story is so huge.
yes,
So
it
I'm
is.
glad that you're really my only guest tonight, because I want to make sure that people are blessed with your story. So let me get this straight. She put you in the outhouse. She was beating you in the woods. What did
Mhm.
you say? She whipped you and poured what on
She
you?
whipped me with switches she kidnapped me. Well, she took me away from in front of my mom's house. She wanted me to, after I left, she was like, "Just come out and talk to me." just come out and talk to me. And she used to give my mom a lot of money too. And I never told my mom the abuse I was going through. So my mom thinks that when she pulls up or come get me, she's just coming to get me like originally like she would. Because I would go to my mom's house on the weekend, spend time with her, things like that. And
Did
so
your mom know you were a lesbian? Did your mom know?
I
She
was
was
a lesbian ever since high school. And then actually when I ran away, I wrote the letter and let my mom know about being gay. And I ran away because I thought she wouldn't accept me because she was a church woman. And that's when they came and found me. And then when I got out of juvenile, she was like, you know, I love you. You're my daughter. I don't like the sin, you know, but I love you. You're still my daughter. And then a lot of my gay friends, like I said, a lot of my high school friends were gay stud girls and tomboys. And my mom started letting them come over and, you know, hang out. We would all go to church and everything like that. I'm gonna get to that part. I never filed charges. We had this mindset where you don't call the police. So I went through this multiple years in silence. A lot of my friends knew. My friends used to even try to come save me. And why was she in jail in the first place? And is she back in jail now? Yes, she is. She's in jail doing 2 double life sentences for first-degree murder. After she got out of jail from me, she killed the new girl in Mississippi that she met and the girl's brother. And she got 2 double life sentences.
Jesus.
After she tried to kill
Wait a
me.
minute. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you guys for the questions too, by the way.
Yes.
Because you're engaging them, and that's what I want.
Yes.
She tried to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Then when y'all broke up, she got with another girl and killed her.
So the time that she did finally go to jail, okay, so I had my baby. I was maybe like 22, 23 then. I was with my baby's father from like 21 to 23 because I had left her. And then my baby was probably like 6 months, and she talked me into coming back to her. And so I was back with her for a little while, and she was just very upset that I had a baby. And she told me she was constantly harassing me and stalking me and telling me what she was going to do. And so we got into a really bad argument. And she told me the only way that I would leave would be in a body bag. And one of my best friends came to pick me up, and she pulled the pistol on me with my 6-month-old baby in my arm. I left everything. I just had my son's car seat and my baby in my arms. And she said, the only way you'll leave is in a body bag. And she came out with the pistol and she put it in my face like this close to me. And she pulled the trigger and it jammed. And so then that's when she hit me in the top of the head and she hit me across my face. That's when she broke my nose. I had a big gash in my head. Blood was running all down my face. And then she pulled it in my face again and pulled it and it jammed. And after that, the neighbor's boyfriend came out and, you know, got her arm lifted up, took the gun and stuff. And I guess she went and hid it in the air conditioner. And so they called the police. They was like, we hear y'all all the time. I know what's going on. We calling the police. And so at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm calling the police. So we went to the corner store, waited on the police and the ambulance. They came back, they got her. They asked me to come around and identify that it was her, and I identified that it was her. And they took her to jail. They took me downtown to get my statement. They asked, do I want to press charges? Even then, I said, I don't want to press charges. So that's when they let me know about her extensive record. They said she had a record of aggravated assaults, attempted murders. This was her MO. This is what she do to women, and the state is going to prosecute. So I was like, okay.
So they prosecuted even without your
I ended up going to court. I ended up going to the preliminary hearing and giving my statement. I wrote a statement that day. I ended up going to the preliminary hearing when I was subpoenaed to court. They indicted her. She ended up getting 3 years. And that's how I got away from her. And come to find out, when she got out, she met the woman in Mississippi. She was beating on her. The brother came to protect her, and the brother broke her nose. She went back with a gun and killed both of them.
Oh my God. No.
So she's down in Parcham County, Mississippi right now doing 2 double life sentences. Yes. And she was like, she had me beyond schizophrenic.
If it had, right here, the pen we got to put here, if it had not been for God.
Yes. And I went crazy. I lost my mind. Like, I was in a mental hospital and I was telling the people that my name was Tiffany and I was in Chicago. And I was in Memphis in the mental health hospital. I literally, like, my mind literally snapped. And I literally went crazy.
So let's get some of these comments so we can catch up. It was Sprite that you were saying that she poured on you, right?
Ice cold Sprite. And of course, Sprite has acid. If you have fresh open cuts and wounds, just imagine your skin and your body burning from those.
And that's what she did. She was whipping you with a switch?
Tied up. They had me tied up in the trunk. And so they took me to Memphis and Mississippi is like 30 minutes away from each other. It wasn't really like I would say the woods. It was like more so like some houses that they owned down there, but it was wooded areas, you know, down by the homes. And that's where they took me to. And yeah, that's
Okay.
she.
So
Oh,
when
Nicole, that's Nicole. That's the other survivor of domestic violence. My best friend.
Nicole, hello, Nicole. Oh my gosh, sweetheart, listen, I'm putting the link here. If you want to come on and you feel okay to come on, I just put the link into the show, and that's for you too, Queen. If you guys want to come on, let's just all get here and figure this thing out tonight. That's the link. If you click on that link, that'll bring you into my studio right now, and you guys can be here on the scene with us. So I would love for you to, but we got to go back because we gotta catch up. Okay, because you got so many comments
Like
coming
it's
through.
a
I want to
whole
make sure that
Lifetime movie. Like some people who were with me in that time, they was like, I know for sure. Like we watched her go through this. Some folks be like, oh, you lying, you making it like I can't make this up. Like it was real life for me.
So once we get through the comments, then I want to talk a little. Let's go back. She went to, so she tried to kill you. Did she get any? She got 3 years for what she did to you.
3 years, aggravated assault.
Okay.
Oh,
Now,
the
when did she
police
go
went
back?
in the house and they found the gun in the air conditioner, and she was a previous felon. So I think she was supposed to get like 10 or 8 years, but she did 3 years and got out on probation.
So when she got out, that's when she met the new girl. And she killed her.
Yeah,
I really hope that everybody is listening.
Carla Crane, you can look her up on Google. She was real. It was real. She had a lot of
killed her, and so now she's in there for how long?
She has 2 double lives. She killed her and her brother.
So she's gone.
The brother came to protect the sister. The brother broke Carla's nose. Carla went and got a gun, went back and killed the girl, and then stabbed the brother to death. I think it was like a few days behind each other. But she got 2 first-degree murders, and she got 2 double life sentences at 100% in Parcham County, Mississippi.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was beyond crazy. She was demonic and schizophrenic. And I had took on a lot of those soul ties that I had with her, and those things that she had, those bipolar and manic, all the depression, all of the stuff that was attached to her. Because of the attachment so long with her, it had like got onto me, and I went through like years of suffering and bipolar and schizophrenic, suicide, so much stuff. And so that's why I teach people it's a real spiritual warfare.
Yes.
Like soul ties and the attachments of your connections are real. Yes. And that's how I ended up losing my mind.
So Queen asked a question, a very good question. Has she ever reached out to you from prison? Yes,
she has. I did forgive her. I have talked to her. She's always in the hole. I haven't talked to her since when I moved here 2017. I think I talked to her in 2019. I have her info. The last I talked to her, she was in the hole, and some kind of way she was getting her daughter to bring drugs in. And so she ended up getting more time on top of her life sentence. And so I don't think that she can get phone calls anymore or anything like that. But I ended up talking to her. Her daughter got mad at me and blocked me, and it was a big shebang on Facebook because I finally came out and started telling my story. But like I told her, I have to share my truth. Like I have to share the truth of who your mother really was and how she affected my life.
Wow. So how many kids? Hi, Nicole.
She had a daughter.
She had a daughter. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, my love. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. This is the first time I've done this, actually put my studio link there for people to join, but I just thought like tonight was just a different kind of night. So I see you have the sash. You're going to have to tell everybody who you are, and then we're going to jump back into your story, Nakia. But I want you to tell everybody who you are, Miss Beautiful, with your sash there.
My name is Nicole Pham. I am new sash. This is the first time that I'm doing an appearance as Ms. Florida Classic Universe.
Ooh, Florida is representing. That's my state. That's where I am right now. So awesome.
I actually live in Austin, Texas. My girlfriend, when we competed last year, my girlfriend was Ms. Texas, got first runner up. So she was able to hold her Ms. Texas for the year. And so when I came back, the director said, okay, well, you can pick another state or you can pick a country because you can't have Texas. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But I was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and
Woo!
lived there for 29 years and then moved here about 13 years ago. So
Wow.
I am
Well,
representing.
whenever you're in Florida again and you're in Orlando, call me. We can have the lunch, dinner, whatever. I'd love to meet you in person. Well, we're gonna hear a little bit more about your story as well, or whatever, because you're a survivor as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna definitely get into your story, but I want to definitely finish up with Nakia because it seems like we're just finding out stuff at every turn with her story. I'm like, what? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Her
My
story
voice is changing because I'm like, I didn't know some of this stuff because
it's like
it's
two
too much for
of
you to write down, Nakia. I
Yeah,
get
that's
it.
why someone said something about a book on the comments, like it's coming next year.
Oh
It
yeah, I
has
know
to
that's
be a
coming.
series of books. I can't just do like one book. I have to
Oh
do
Yeah.
a
no.
series.
the first book
No.
will leave you going. The
Right.
second book is going to be like, well, no, she didn't. And then that third and on, it's just like she'll tell a story, she pauses, and it's what?
Right.
This is actual life? Are you sure you weren't an actor somewhere?
Yeah, that was Queen said I should write a book. Definitely writing a book.
Yes,
Definitely.
for sure.
Felons are
Yeah,
not
felons
allowed
are
to have
not allowed
guns.
to
That is
have
so true.
guns.
That's right.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's pick up where we were. So did you think that at this point, Nakia, well, maybe this woman thing is not what I want? Maybe I need to make a turn. What were you thinking after she's gone to jail? I know you had to feel like you had a second chance at life. She's
Mhm.
gone to jail. She's in prison now. Now what? Where are you at this point?
So I had my son, and I was just like, because I was raised in church all my life, and I'm like, they had to take me through extensive prayer. I had to go through extensive counseling, especially after going through mental health crisis and things like that. And so I was like, this is just not right. This is not what God calls me to do. And then I started studying. I was still in and out of jail myself. Because I was abrupt and I was lashing out at every little thing. And it was one time that I was in jail that I had an encounter with God. And he came and I was facing 30 years, and he's for like 14 to 30 years. And I had an encounter with God, and he told me that if I surrendered, that he would save me. And I was thinking that he was saying like he'll save me, like what the people preach in church, like save my life, like I'll be saved by the blood and saved by the grace. But God said that he would save me. And so in that instance, I had court, and it was my sentence hearing. And when I went to court, the prosecutors and the people that were there that day, they said they found errors in my paperwork. And so they sent me back to I had 9:00 court. They sent me back to come back to 2:00. When I came back, I had attempted murder and 2 aggravated assaults. I was in jail for a year at this time because God felt like at that time that he had to sit me down to really deal with me, heal me, and take me through things. And I went to court, and they told me that they were dropping the 2 aggravated assaults down to simple assault, and they were dismissing the attempted murder. And if I plead guilty to simple assault, which carry like 30 to 60 days, and I had time on that I would go home that day. This was my sentence hearing. I was supposed to be sentenced and be sent to the penitentiary for 14 to 30 years. I surrendered that night, and God brought me out of jail.
Why were you in jail in the first place?
Because my friends who I went to live with after her got to fighting with some people in our complex, and we both had our name on the apartments as roommates. And the cousins shot the people's house up, and bullets went through multiple apartments. When they came back, the people identified me. So I was falsely identified. They identified me as being with them, but not the shooter. So the police took me to jail because nobody else was there anymore. They didn't live at our residence, but the girls identified our house as the girls who they got to fighting with. And I went to jail. So I felt like that was really God at that time too. And then I was young. I didn't really know about
So you
pleading
didn't
guilty.
tell on the other people?
I didn't snitch. I'm from the streets. We don't snitch. We got a no snitch code,
Oh
no
no,
snitch
baby.
code.
I'm sorry. I'm like, look, there are no rules. If
I'm
I
like,
go, I'm
we
telling you
got
right now,
rules
if
that
you
like,
do a crime with
yeah, I
me,
didn't
you're just as
snitch.
good as caught. Because I'm going to talk. I'm gonna sing like a
Yeah,
canary. But what? So you
right.
took all of the punishment, Nakia?
I sat in jail for a year. My bond was at first it was like $1 million, and then they took it down to like $100,000. My family, they really didn't have money like that, you know. But thank the Lord for my old pastor. He got me one of the best lawyers in Memphis, Tennessee, who was Leslie Ballin. He is a top lawyer. He handles all of the big cases in Memphis with murders, drug cases, all of that. And they blessed me and got me that lawyer, and they're the one that helped me dispute and get all of my stuff down. And the judge agreed, and they dropped those charges that day, and I went home.
Wow, we got questions coming in like crazy. So, at the moment that you were standing in front of that judge, because you know how we all promise God, I know I've said some things, Lord, maybe he'll forget. Like, Ella, you told me you weren't going to do that anymore. And you turned right around and did it again. Yes, I did. Right. So when you were standing in front of that judge, you knew that your life was about to change one way or the other.
I knew that I was finna. I'm thinking like I had already got my R&I number. I had been fingerprinted. Like I was at my sentence hearing. I knew that I was finna get ready and sign for this time and go to the penitentiary. So I was prepared, and it was at like
But
35%.
God made
So
a
I
way.
would have did. God made a way. I would have did like maybe 10 years, but God made a way. And that day they was like, and it just so happened that the original prosecutor got sick, the one that was at me to adamantly give me the time, and the one that was sending in was like, wait a minute. So it's like God sent angelic assistance, and he was like, wait a minute, some of this stuff and this is wrong. Like they didn't have no weapon. The people didn't come to the preliminary hearing for probable cause to hold their statements up, like all kind of stuff. And he was like, some of this stuff is wrong, so we need to review this. And yeah, God bless me. Out of that, he blessed me big time.
There was one question a minute back where she said, have you ever abused an intimate partner, you yourself?
I was kind of aggressive, but I never, being younger, like with my baby dad, I used to fight with him all the time, but I felt like it was coming from a place of like having to protect myself because I met him after my ex-girlfriend. So I felt like that was something that I had to do. Like I had to have a shield up. I had to protect myself. I couldn't let nobody hurt me. And he was very abusive. So I felt like anything that he did, like I'm gonna get my get back. Like you ain't finna get the best of me or get the up on me because I'm already in fear. I'm already traumatized, you know. But it wasn't anything like I adamantly just went out there on my own and just like made a choice to do like no.
So we have Queen says, I know some lesbians who are lesbians because they're sexually attracted to women. And I also know some women who become lesbians because they're tired of men. And you did disclose at the beginning of the broadcast, Queen, she did say that she was going this route because she kind of always had a desire for it. But when the guy raped her, when the uncle raped her, that kind of pushed you more toward women because you wanted to feel safer. So that's understandable. And then we're trying to catch up. You went in as an accomplice, yeah. So nobody was killed.
I told them, I said I was out there fighting, protecting my friends, but I didn't have a gun. And the girls were saying she had some silver in her hand. And back in the day, you remember those little silver chain belts that you used to wear from the Chinaman store and the store.
You already know. I know. Absolutely.
I had a chain belt in my hand because I was like, if they run up on me, I'm gonna hit them with this belt. So that's what they saw, silver in my hand. And it was like a whole big mess. I didn't have a gun though. Originally, it was.
So did you have an attorney?
I ended up getting an attorney. My pastor ended up buying me one of the best attorneys, and him and the Baptist Ministerial Association ended up buying me a really good attorney. She laughing like, I was like, yeah, I was out there fighting. I was a fighter in my old life. I was really a fighter. I was out there fighting.
I can't see that. I'm sorry. I would have to see it.
I was a hot mess.
A hot mess. Okay. So now you've gotten out of jail. At this point, this is when you said, I surrender.
Yeah. Yeah, I was worried about my son and the things that Like when I was in jail, I had the best peace of my life. I didn't have any worries. I had my Bible. I was in the 23-1 max dorm, so I was locked down 23 hours a day. We couldn't have certain things, so all I had was like magazines and my Bible. And I was with God all the time. I got filled with the Holy Spirit in my cell. I had encounters in my cell. I was having dreams in my cell. I was having visitations in my cell. And like God was really like showing me and telling me like who I was. And so that's when my life turned. And then just more so thinking about my son, like my son deserves better. He deserves more.
Now, when did we have time to get a son? Because you're in the clubs on poles and you're with
I
these
had my
women.
son
So
when
when
I
did the
met my
son
baby
come in?
daddy I met my baby daddy when I first left her from 21 to 23. I had my son at 23. And then I went back to her. And when my son is 6 months is when she pulled the gun on me and tried to kill me with my son in my arms.
So how did the relationship go with the man, your son's father?
He was abusive too. That's what I said. I was fighting with him all the time too. He was abusive. He used to lock me in rooms. He was overbearing and controlling. He was sexually abusive. Used to tell me that I have to have sex with him when he wanted and stuff like that. He had money too, so it was like I was so caught up in the root of getting money because I was in the fast life for so long. Like money was my thing, you know. And the enemy always presented me with people who was big time dope boys or
Yeah,
big
that's how
time
he does
business
it.
owners that had money.
Absolutely.
You know, because I was addicted to rich men in the club. So everybody that I ever dealt with, like all of my Johns, all of my sugar daddies, all of that, like they was big time dope boys. I mean, big time money people, big time business owners. Like anybody I was attracted to, it was the enemy was always bringing and presenting people with money.
Yeah. Wow. So now, oh my goodness. So now in the story, you are ready to live for God.
Yeah.
It took all of that. Guys, listen, no judgment because God has to use something to get all of us. Okay. And you took a lot though, Nakia.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a strong woman because you went through a lot. I don't know. After the first jail cell, the jail would have seen me anymore because
Even after I got out that time, I still went back like a few more times because I still was like sneaking and getting high. Like I would fall off and I would fall back, but then I'll bounce back to like, no, I can't do this. Like I made about a God. You know, it was a cycle. The enemy kept putting a spotlight on money and kept putting a spotlight on what I was attracted to in the world. That's what it was. Exactly.
Now, Queen, you should be on here. I'm just being honest. Like,
She
put
said
the
she put
baby
her
to bed
son
and get on the show, girl. We'll be here. Just come on. Even if you come on the last 20 minutes, I would love to see you to be here on the broadcast. She says, when I was a police officer, I met women who told me they had been beaten by every man they have ever been with. What
Nicole
do you think
can tell you about that.
So the question is, what do you think causes this?
Yeah.
The sole purpose of what causes it to happen on repeat over and over again is because the woman allows it. Or it could be a man meeting a man. You allow it. And it's not that we woke up one day and said, oh, beat me up. Okay. Oh, this feels good. That's not it. When you're in a relationship with someone, that person's going to make you feel safe and secure and they're your everything. And without them, you can't do it. I had a daughter when my incident happened. She was a couple months old as well. She was, 2 or 3 months old. You get in this entrapment and your mind, emotional abuse is a huge thing that people don't realize. Just because somebody came out of a domestic abuse relationship, that's it, they just hit her or hit him and that's it. No, absolutely not. It's financial, it's sexual, it's emotional. And I swear to you, I've been in all of those. The emotional abuse will mess your mind up to no end, which allows you to go into another relationship because that's what you're used to. You're getting used to
trauma bonding.
Being treated, it's a trauma bond.
And then even with police, Yeah, police are very traumatized. They go through very traumatic events and they have no, I'm a licensed chaplain as well. So in dealing with the police, they don't really go through, they don't want to go to mental health because they don't want to be known as crazy or psych valves. They don't
Yeah.
want to be their money to be cut. They don't want to go through and none of the things that
They
makes
make-
them look bad.
They make you believe that you're the crazy one, you're the psycho one.
Mhm.
You
And
need
a lot of police officers are narcissists
Hmm.
and manipulative, and they're traumatized, and they use and take their trauma and their emotional states and their mental states out on their wives and even their children, because they don't know how to handle the matters of their daily life, and that's the only release that they feel that they have. And some of them even are raised and taught in homes where their dads have did it to their moms. So it's a lot
Yes,
that goes behind
absolutely.
the police. Yeah, even doctors.
So
People think
this
this
is
is just. Mhm.
Yeah, this is very important what Queen is saying. And these are some of the things that we often bring up in these domestic violence shows, is that women do associate this with love. Girl, he is crazy. I don't know what in the world. This man, he
Mhm.
is crazy about me. I can't go nowhere. That's
Mhm.
control.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's not love. It's not. How do
Love's
you know when
good
it's
and hurt.
love, Nicole? How do you know when it's love?
Oh, geez, I don't think I know the answer to that yet, because I just got out of a 17-year marriage. He didn't necessarily beat me up. It was the emotional, I'm going to try not to cry during this. It was the emotional abuse for me. He would tell you on his end that I did financial abuse. I was the accountant. I was the breadwinner. I paid for everything. I made sure everybody, was taken care of in the house. And to him, I was the abuser to him. But in all reality, it's no, I think you failed as a man and not doing what you need to do for your family. It doesn't matter who the breadwinner was or who wasn't. It's just the simple fact of who shows up for the kids, who shows up for those family dinners and whatnot. And I thought because every time I got sick, he would take care of me. And I literally went back to this man after I had surgery. Sorry.
Uh-oh, that's okay.
After I had surgery, because I thought no other man in the world is going to take care of me how he does. Well, it turns out to be he only wanted to take care of me because what are you going to do without me? Nothing's taken care of for you. Your kids aren't taken care of. I just had a scare that I might have had breast cancer, went in for all that. Right when he found out, oh my gosh, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? And then he sent me a text message a couple days later and he goes, we can't afford to lose you, and you're such an important part of our lives. And at that moment, it's like it snapped with me. And I'm like, you never loved me. You just had me around because it was convenient for you. I took care of your house. I took care of your children. I took care of everything financially. So I don't know that answer yet. I'm still, maybe one day I'll know.
So
hope
you're
that
sitting here today, Nicole. What are you feeling hearing all of this? Does this bring anything back from what you experienced? What are you feeling today?
today is actually probably the first time I've ever talked about this without actually crying. So that's good because I've learned throughout talking about this, and I had a past relationship too. The more you talk about it and the more that you can help other people understand
Yeah,
where you were at that time, then they will know, okay, well, if she could do it, I could do it too.
amen.
And everybody looks at Kia and I and all of our queen friends out there that go, oh my gosh, your life must be perfect and everything's going for you. No, you have no idea what comes within this.
Yes. Oh,
There's a lot of trauma.
say that. Say that.
Mhm.
Listen, I wanna switch gears a little bit, Nakia. Because we're gonna talk a little bit about Nicole, then we're gonna come back to you. Is that okay?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Nicole, Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about your teenage. When did you see a twist in your life that should have been that was concerning? When did that happen for you?
Honestly, it happened with me when I was probably about 3 years old when I watched my biological father beating up my mom and listening to my mom behind that closed door screaming and yelling for help. Um, I I remember at the age of 3 him ripping the, we used to have the house phones on the wall and rip it
Right.
out and take all of her clothes out of the house and tell her to get out and leave. And we would go seek refuge with my grandmother and my grandfather. Um, that was the first signs of what I saw was domestic violence. Grew up, I was about the age of 18, started dating my oldest daughter's father. And he was the love of my life at that time. He was probably my first true love. And everything was good until I got pregnant. And then once I got pregnant, it was, well, the baby's not mine. And he was going to the clubs, getting other girls' phone numbers, cheating on me. I found my best friend leaving the back door of my house one day when I came home.
Oh my gosh.
I had my daughter, she was about 3 months old. I found out I was pregnant with twins. Saw the heartbeat, saw the movements, the sonogram, everything. Me, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have another baby and this is gonna fix all of our problems. Yeah, no, that's not the case. He decided to do drugs and go party more and just, he didn't want to be a dad. He didn't want to be a husband at home. We were never married, but he didn't want to be that figure. He came home from a party down the road and got mad at me because I asked him, "Where were you and who were you with? What were you doing?" He decided, I believe the drug of choice that evening for him was cocaine, and that GHB. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but it's some
You got me
chemical
there.
that you take, kind of like a date rape drug.
Right.
He started beating me and he slammed my head into the wall. He slammed my head into the tile floor. I started bleeding, of course, because I was pregnant. He forced me to have sex with him. He told me I could never leave him. I couldn't use my phone. He broke phones, threw shoes at the back of my head. It literally looked like somebody shot me in the back of the head. I weighed about 95 pounds at that time, and I'm 5'8". I'm pretty tall, so I look like Skeletor. Um, I just remember that night being so afraid to where I slept in the closet and tried to shut the doors, and he ripped the doors off of the closet and made me get in the bed with him and did what he pleased with me, and I had no choice. And all I kept thinking was, this man, this is how he's going to show his love to me.
Mhm.
Did you
And
ever think he was gonna kill you, Nicole?
absolutely, absolutely.
Did he come close to killing you?
Oh, 3 rolls of film from the police the next day. I didn't realize how close I was until I viewed those pictures that I still have today.
She
Oh
was
my
blue purple. She has the pictures that she shares with her domestic violence because we used it for our platforms. She was blue purple. Her eyes were raccoon blue purple.
Yeah, my
oh
entire face. I got up the next morning and I had like, we're pageant girls. We wear a ton of makeup.
Yeah.
There is no ton of makeup, theatrical, pageant world style that could cover up these bruises. It was thick, thick. I went to work the next day. Oh, and I couldn't brush my hair. So I had it in a bun and I went to work the next day. And one of my best friends that I grew up with worked with me. And he looked at me and he's like, oh. And I'm like, nothing, we're
Uh-oh.
Said nothing, I'm fine, you know, and he tried to take down my hair because it was matted and whatnot, and the makeup wiped off on his thumb, and he was like, what in the hell happened? And he knew exactly what happened. He called my mom. He drove me to my mom's house, and my mom and dad were ready to kill the guy. Called the
I'm
police.
so sure.
Called the police.
Oh my God.
They went to my townhome. They kicked the door in, and they had him at gunpoint on the bed. It was that bad.
Oh my God. And is that when you left him?
No, because
You know, I knew the answer to that because
Yeah.
this is how it happens. Domestic violence. He talked you back, you went back, and then what happened, dear?
We went on next couple of years.
Don't cry, Nicole. You're strong.
I'm good. I'm doing great today, actually. Went back until my daughter was about 3 years old. He tried to, there was attacks here and there. It was nothing that bad. Tried to attack me again. I picked up, there was a bottle of, you know, the fingernail polish aerosol you spray to dry your fingers. It was the closest thing to me. So I picked it up, threw it at him to get away from him, got in the car, and I left. The week after that, we were taking our daughter to the zoo, got into an accident, called the police. Police came, and I'm going to jail because there was a warrant for my arrest for, what was the charge? It was a fighting charge. And then when we went in and reading the report, it changed to bodily, oh gosh. I can't remember.
Bodily harm.
Bodily harm with a deadly weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And we
The
went
spray
to
can?
a spray can. He told them to hit him in the back of the head with a baseball bat. Now this guy weighs 220 pounds.
Your volume just went down, Nicole.
So, hold on 1 second.
Oh, the dog has to speak.
Yeah, I did not know who was at my door.
There's someone there. Be safe.
Hello? Oh, hey, hold on. I have to put her up. Sorry, hold on.
So I'll just take you off. Take care of that real quick, Nicole, and
Okay.
come back. Okay. All right. Wow. So back to you. We have a question over here.
The
Nicole
sound went
asked
low. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. You're good.
Okay.
So Nicole says, does woman on woman domestic violence happen just in the lesbian community or regular too? Domestic violence happens in every single community. To be honest with you, this was my first experience hearing about lesbians having, experiencing domestic violence. I mean, they're people too, so you would think, why not? But yeah, we have men on men. We have women abusing men. I've had those men on my show. It's a serious situation that's going on in our country. 1 in every 3 women experience domestic violence, and 1 in every 4 men experience it. So it happens to women, men, lesbian relationships. It doesn't matter. So it's a problem. That's why I like to have these shows, because it brings awareness to what's going on. Now, hopefully Nakia comes back. I see that I've lost both of them real quickly here. They'll be back. Sometimes with this live TV, sometimes you'll have situations where, anything can happen. But I hope you guys are enjoying the broadcast. I want to see if there's any other questions up here while I'm waiting. Domestic violence is when 2 people are living together. Yeah. She says, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, let's bring Nakia back. Looks like she is back.
Yes, I'm sorry, my phone died.
It's okay, love. It happens. It happens. So yeah, that almost happened to me earlier. That's why I was like, oh, hold on,
Yes,
hold on, hold
wait.
on. Yeah.
Nicole asked the question about woman on woman abuse.
Yeah. I was explaining, I answered her and said that, it does happen woman to woman, but it also happens man to woman, woman to woman, woman to
Mhm.
man. I've had men on my show that talked about their domestic violence where they were abused.
Yeah,
So it's a problem. And
yeah,
I want to open my broadcast for anyone. Anyone, I don't care who you are, where you are. This is all virtual. I would love for you to come here on the Ella Johnson Show and share your story. We're gonna get together, Nakia and Nicole. Let's bring Nicole back. I see her there now. We're gonna have to get together, ladies, and we're gonna have a revival of survivors.
yeah.
Nothing but domestic violence, sexual abuse survivors who are ready, and then bring in some counselors, bring
Hmm.
in some ministers, whatever we have to do, and let's heal our nation. You
Yes,
know, let's do that because nobody is gonna do it but us. And I think that there's a new awakening for survivors to really step up. And
yes,
all the people that I've met that are survivors, they are stepping up in ways where they're changing the laws. And that's
hmm,
what I love. I
yes.
love it. I love it. So I want to definitely finish your story, Nakia, and then we'll come back to you, Nicole. So right now in your story, Nakia, you've been abused by your husband. I mean, your boyfriend. You've been
Hmm.
abused by at least two women. You were at this point. You've been both of them basically tried to kill you. They
Hmm.
both were mentally abusive.
No, it
Um,
was one. It was well, I did have another girlfriend. I didn't talk about her. She kicked me, bust my spleen. I was in ICU, had to go through blood transfusions, all of that. So it was like I was addicted to trauma. I was addicted to thinking like that was love. I was addicted to thinking because I was manipulated as a young girl to think, oh, that's just the way that they show love, or oh, I love you and come back. And so you come back and you come back and you come back, or you constantly get attracted to that kind of stuff and people maneuver you in. And then when you fall prey to it, when it happens, it's like you're already prone to it. So it's nothing that is like new to you.
okay, well, we're not gonna just go over that one. She said that so matter of fact, like, oh yeah, I forgot about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she almost killed me, and I ended up in
Oh,
ICU.
and she
But
was a
anyway,
police
and I'm like, wait a
officer.
minute.
She was a correctional, she was an officer in the detention center, and she was a police officer.
So where did you meet her?
I met her at the gay clubs.
Okay, and so
Hmm.
you got into a relationship with her. Did you live with
Yeah.
her as well?
Me and her lived together.
And how
Yeah.
long were you with her?
I was with her about 2, 3 years on and off.
Now, briefly describe that relationship.
She was very sweet and charming and nice. We share bills. We always like I never like I'm from South Memphis. Our family was poor. I didn't know about taking trips and doing things. Like she took me to experience a new part of life. Like she always had family gatherings, like things that I didn't, know about it, wasn't used to. So it was all good in the beginning, and then it took a turn for the worse. When I said I wanted to stop talking to her because she was a consistent cheater, because she was very pretty, she bashed all the TVs in my house, well, in our apartment. She bashed all the stuff in our house. She tore up all this with a skillet. She took a raw iron skillet and bashed all the TVs. She cut up all my clothes, poured bleach everywhere, marked all over the walls with lipstick, all kind of stuff. And so I was like, hey, I don't want to talk to you no more. You can't come back here. Don't come back here. She came back. We got into a really bad fight. And at that time, I think she was working at she wasn't a police officer. Then she was working at Dollar Tree Warehouse. And they were steel toe boots, and she pushed me down because I confronted her about the damage in my house. And I was like, I'm gonna call the police. She pushed me down. She kicked me really hard. And all I felt was sharp pains going through my butt and my side and up through my chest. And I couldn't walk. So my neighbor came and was like, hey, hey, stop that. And so my neighbor came, called the police, called the ambulance. And come to find out, when I got to the hospital, they rushed me to ICU and called my next of kin, which was my mom, and her and my auntie came because I blacked out. I didn't even know where I was at when I woke up. I had a busted spleen. And I had to have blood transfusions. And I lied to my mom and told my mom that I fell down the stairs taking laundry in from the laundromat because she came to the hospital as well while I was in ICU.
Has your mom ever found out that you were abused?
Yeah. Yeah. Like at first, like I didn't want to introduce this kind of stuff to my mom because, like I said, my mom's saved and she like don't know about this kind of stuff. But now, as I have joined and become a co-heir of Christ, and I'm very transparent and real about my story. Like my mom is like one of my best friends, and I ended up like they're my Facebook friends, so I share my testimonies all over social media. That's how I have a lot of followers. And I told my mom a lot of things. Like now we laugh and talk about it, and she'd be like, "Oh, I knew better. I'm just praying." Like my mom prayed for me in all the disasters I was in for over 15 years. And the day that she seen me get affirmed and ordained in ministry was like one of the best days of her life because she always believed God for me. But
Yes.
she knew
Ooh.
things, but she didn't know things. And I was finally able to fully, transparently, like tell her the truth. Once I had to heal for like 3 years. I had to like literally go through a cave experience where I shut down, and I had to go through like real deep healing, like counseling, with ministry, with pastors. I had to go through deep healing. And now I tell her everything. We talk about it and we laugh about it, even about when they came and got me and took me to juvenile and all that. But it was a time that I was like, my mom can't find this out, because I honored her too much, and who she was and who she believed God to be, to even let her know the life that I was living.
Right.
And God, they said I was supposed to have surgery for my spleen. My mom stayed up there all night with me in the ICU. And the next day when the doctors came and did the x-ray, my spleen had came back together on its own. And the doctor
What?
said, yeah, I'm a supernatural miracle. That's not even the half of the things miraculously that God has did to my body through abuse. Like my spleen has came back together on its own. My appendix was like from drinking alcohol so much it had swelled up to the size of an orange. And overnight in 24 hours, it shrunk back to the original size. They was going to take it out. The doctors came back and was like, no, we're not going to take it out. I had teeth knocked out. God blessed me to get my teeth done. He blessed me with people to sow into my life to get my teeth restored. When I got into a fight one time, I got scratched really bad in my eye, and I had scratches across my eye, and I had a cornea abrasion. And I had a blood clot in my eye for almost 3 years, and I used to go blind in my right eye. And God supernaturally healed me in my right eye to where I wasn't blind. Like I couldn't drive at night or anything because I was blind in my right eye for years. Like God has supernaturally healed me, not only from the trauma and the evidence of the abuse and the residue, but like within my body, in the midst of. So God has like always had his hands on me. Like especially when the gun jammed, I was supposed to be gone twice. She pulled the trigger. And there was a whole demon that
That
was
sent
sent out to
chills
kill.
all through my body.
Yeah.
I still feel chill going
Yeah.
through my body because I know that was nobody but God. I
But
know
God.
that for a fact.
I'm like
Absolutely.
literally like this close to my face, and told me the only way I leave is in a body bag. And my baby was in my arms, and he was 6 months. And just to think, even if she didn't hit me, if she would have hit my baby, like it's so many things that God has saved me from. Like I had I've overdosed and died. I overdosed at her house on cocaine, and I died, and I came back. And I overdosed on, like I told you, the Tylenol. So it's like been so many things that God has truly kept me through. Like I have no choice but to serve God. And that's why I serve God
No choice.
the way that I do wholeheartedly. Like people literally use this as a regular sentence and say, oh, I died for this anointing. I died for this. Or no, I really died. Like I seriously died.
Have
So
you ever had people in your life, because I know people can be rude. Have you ever had people try to make you feel that because of your choices, that this is why this happened to you? And
yeah.
how did you feel hearing that?
Even in the church, and more so in the church, they used to say, Oh, well, you can't blame God for that. I never, ever, ever blame God. I take full accountability and ownership. Everything that I went through, it is being used now in this era of my life. And then, you're gonna have the naysayers and the people gonna say, well, you chose to do that, you chose to be gay, or you can't be delivered from being gay, or you was this, you was a prostitute. Like when I first got saved and walked into my divine calling, people say, oh, you used to be a coke user, you used to be a prostitute. And that's really what made me start sharing my story and being so much more transparent. Because I'm like, you can't tell my story like me. So let me tell you the
That's
full
right.
dynamics.
That's
Let me
right.
tell you the
That's right.
real. Let me tell you
Yes.
the real on what really happened. So
Yes.
when you share, you can share the real. You can't share bits and pieces of what you think. You can share this status. Come on, share this. So somebody else can be set free today. Come on. People have literally in the church have shunned and dogs me and my story because I'm not like other people. But I had to literally get delivered from people and really get in a place consumed by God and the Holy Spirit where, you know what, I won't combat you because this is for God's glory. It's not my story, it's God's story and his
That's
glory.
right.
And people are getting delivered and saved and set free. People, and you can talk about me, but you probably could never ever walk in the shoes or the capacity of the
You
suffering that
better
I
say
endured.
it.
So you can
You
say what you want, but let
Woo.
it hit your house. You probably will be somewhere losing your mind and you won't come back. So be careful. I tell them, hey, be careful. God said, touch not. So
Did you forget? I want to go back because these are some things that are on my mind. Did you forgive the man who raped you when you were
I
15?
did. Yes, I forgave everybody. That's why I said I even talked to my ex-girlfriend. The one Bucci, my ex-girlfriend that kicked me and bust my spleen, she on my page to this day. Like, and a lot of my gay friends and people be like, but you still got all these gay friends. And I'm like, because I'm the light, because maybe they'll see me living for God and what God has done for me, and I'll bring them out. Who are you to judge? You got gay people
Listen,
in your church. Are we talking about them? Your ministers are gay. But we not looking to judge and talk about the people and the things that of what they doing in their life. God said, love the people and hate the sin. Come on.
that's right.
We can't bring nobody into freedom unless we love and show compassion, just like Christ.
Right.
He
And
calls
I
us
applaud
to
you for
go back
that.
into the trenches. We the ones that are called, that have come out of the trenches, to go back and pull those other ones out and unlock the bondage that they in. So, God said to go out and draw all men in. And that's the grace and the call that I carry every day
Be teachers to others.
to
Hmm.
Well, we're
others.
gonna
Yeah.
definitely. I'm gonna give you guys a motivational one of my favorite at the end of the broadcast. But let's jump over here to Nicole. Nicole, when did you get out? And how did you get out?
I so going back to the story, we were uh, on the way to the zoo
Uh-huh.
and got into the car accident. I'm getting arrested. We go to court and everything, and that was the end for me, because now I'm going to jail because you tried to hurt me. Um,
So
I
you really
remember,
went to jail.
yes, spent the night in jail over because I tried to get away from someone. Went to court for the next couple months. We had to pull out the three reels of film from when he beat me the first time we had documented. And the officer said, ma'am, did you in fact try to hit him with a baseball bat? I said, Your Honor, with all due respect, I wouldn't have missed. She said,
Ooh.
case dismissed. Charges dropped.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, like I said, I was a tiny little thing, and he's this 220-pound muscle guy. So who was I? So after that, I was done. My parents, I had my own phone line and everything at my parents' house. We had to turn that line completely off. I had to get a new pager, had to get a new cell phone number and everything. And I just had to literally cut him completely out of my life.
So did both of you get counseling throughout this, or did you just how did you get to the other side? You're clearly on the other side. How did you get there?
I never really did counseling. I was on heavy medications of anxiety and depression. It came out a few years ago when I was getting counseling for it and getting counseling for the marriage I was in, that I have PTSD from this.
Oh,
And
wow.
it goes as far as, because he pulled my hair and bashed my head, it goes as far as every time when we go into pageant world and pageant time and I'm getting my hair done, I'm so tender headed. Like, I have to brush my own hair or I'll be, because it brings back him pulling my
I bet.
hair.
I
Bash-
bet. I bet.
Yeah, I went through counseling for years. Even after my mental breakdowns and everything, I went through like losing my mind. They diagnosed me with so many things. I was on like 7 medications. And then God delivered me one day. After, like I said, I went back to jail and I was on those medications in jail, and that's what I was using to numb the trauma and the situation I was in, and everything like that. And when you get out, they tell you to go to the mental health place and get your pills again. And God, I went and got the pills and I was taking them. And one day God was saying, told me, throw those pills away. You don't need them anymore. And I
Wow.
threw the pills away. And that was like almost 7, 8 years ago. Ever since then, I haven't taken any medications. I was on like Rumaron, Zoloft, Lavacodin. I was on heavy pills.
And it turned you to like zombie land. It's
Yeah,
not
put me in the zone. They told me
a-
I was bipolar. I was hearing voices. I was suicidal. I tried to jump off a bridge twice. Back home, I was suicidal. Like I said, I was cutting myself. One time I had a blackout on my birthday. I blacked out at my mom's house and she didn't know what was going on. And when I went to the hospital, that's when the people told me that I had a nervous breakdown. So they literally took me from the hospital to the mental health facility for a 3-day intake. And of course, it's not mandatory that you can voluntarily leave after your 72-hour hold. And they said I need to go to mental health, and I was like, I'm not going there. But at the first time when I lost my mind, when I was thinking my name was something else and everything like that, like for 7 days I blacked out, and like I was in a whole nother place, like I wasn't in the world. And I was in that little room they keep you in. They had me strapped down in chairs. They had me with nothing but blankets. I mean, little white covers in the room. And like for 7 days, like I wasn't myself. And they was telling my mom to like prepare for like what is it when they take care of you and stuff like that, the
Hospice.
power of attorney. No, power of attorney.
Oh,
And
power of
saying, yeah,
attorney.
saying,
Okay.
yes, saying that I need to probably apply for
mentally,
disability. My mind won't
mentally
right.
unfit.
Mm-hmm. And then in
Really?
7 days, I came back in 7 days. So God has
7
always
days.
did things with me in 7 days, which is completion, and 3 days, which is the Trinity. And it's something about my life that stands with the number three. Every time something happens, it's always on the third day. And
It
so
was
yeah.
when I was
Mm-hmm.
going through, before my husband and I broke up the first time. Kia knows this because
Mm-hmm.
she's been there.
Yeah.
There would be times to where I would text her or I would call her, and I said, it's really sad when someone understands why they would take their own life. Not that I am going to, because I have
Mm-hmm.
5 children, but I understand why people do that. And it's not necessarily a selfish act thing. You feel like you're stuck in a
They
trap,
want a way out.
never
Mm-hmm.
getting out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it now. And I completely, fully sympathize with those people that feel that way. It's a
Mm-hmm.
horrible place to be, to where when you understand the whys,
Yeah.
I never want to go there again. But once you know that, and once you feel that, that's the one reason why I came up with my platform called the Collective Empowerment Project,
Mm-hmm.
advocating for men, women, and children that's gone through domestic abuse and sexual abuse and whatnot, because I've been there. I've been in that deep, dark hole for 3 months, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And just finally, I'm like, okay, like, you have to live this. You have to live. You have to live your best life. I just have to rid of the problem so I can go and be me again. And that's what I've done. And to see me today versus last year is
Yeah.
Amazing.
Totally different person.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that before we get out of here. Where are we today? Starting with you, Nicole. Where are you today with your life and what you're doing out there to help other people?
Coming up with my platform and everything. So we did the first show ever during New York Fashion Week last February. Kia was with
I'm a
me.
model, New York Fashion Week.
Yay!
We had,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty awesome. It first show ever that went to stand for something.
Mhm.
We were, what was it? The Today Show, Kia?
Yeah, on the Today
I
Show.
always get it mixed up.
Mhm.
Look at
The
that.
Jimmy Kimmel was down. We was down the street to Jimmy Kimmel show, the Today
Down the street
Show,
from Jimmy
New
Kimmel.
York Fashion Week. We were in magazines, on the
Wow.
billboard in New York
In
Times Square.
Times Square.
Yeah.
Wow.
Spreading awareness for domestic violence.
That's what I'm talking about.
So the
Mhm.
That
first
is
time we went-
incredible stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
First time we went, we had 21 models. After that, when I just did it this last September, I had 50 models. I could have had 250 if I wanted to have that, but we had to cut it off. We had 8 designers, only 7 ended up walking, and we had to cut our Queen's show out of it because
It was so big.
Yes,
Mhm.
it
It expanded like
so
within
big.
months.
Well, I want to get invited to some of this stuff. You guys remember the Ella
Yeah.
Johnson show? I would love to be a
Yes.
part of what you guys are doing. I'm so proud.
Yes,
So the
thank
goal
you.
was to go and do it again in February, and just honestly, I need time for me. I'm exhausted through my personal stuff and through the empowerment stuff. It's just kind of
And
when you're
pageants.
dealing with all of that. You have to. Ooh, okay, I
You
tell
got to take your
everybody,
time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
time for Mama to breathe.
Yes,
So
right.
we're gonna take a break. We'll see about September. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it in New York or not. One of my other best friends, Gigi, she's the vice president of the Empowerment Project. We have something coming up, a proposition for Kia to also be on our board as well.
Woo!
She kind of knows.
Yeah.
But basically, what we want to try to do is we want to hold more fashion shows and do maybe galas or award shows
Beautiful.
or something like that.
Awesome.
That's going to be based out of Austin, Houston, Dallas, Memphis, Jacksonville, Orlando. Now I have a person in Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando.
Absolutely. Bring it to Mickey. Yes.
I'll be in Orlando next week for a pageant. So I'll be there 5 days, the 17th. through the
Really? Well,
22nd.
I'm definitely going to see you. We definitely have to see you for real. For real.
All her outfits are on key. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, Nicole
Aw.
always helps me pick my fashion out.
I love it. I'm just really, really thrilled. I do want to make sure that you guys know that I want us to have just let's just blow it out of the water with all of the people all over the country.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Africa, this is virtual. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Here on I want you guys back. Let's bring people. I mean, we can rotate. We can have up to at least 10 people on the show at one time. So we can rotate. We can put them on a schedule and just let people come.
Mhm.
30-minute increments to tell their story. And just maybe we can do it as a way to raise money for domestic violence awareness and donate to some cause somewhere. For people, because we can do the whole Cash App thing and put the money and donate, whatever you guys, whatever we come up with, but I want you guys involved. This domestic violence, I didn't know it was an issue until it was in my back door.
Mhm.
My cousin was killed. I'm like, she was killed. Why? What happened? They were like, Ella, she went back and this man, she had told him she didn't want to be with him, but he just couldn't take no for an answer. And she was trying to be nice to him. So he snuck up behind her and put a belt around her neck and held her up, just held her up. Her 14-year-old daughter was watching all of this. And he told her, if you tell, I'm going to burn this house down with all of you in it. Well, after a few minutes or so, he took her phone from her and she ran out of the house to try to get help. Well, by the time she got back to her mom was lifeless on the floor. They took her to the hospital. She was bleeding from her brain. She never recovered and she died. 41 years old. And I had just seen her 3 days before.
My
So
God.
I thought this domestic violence thing, what? And I said, God, you got to give me something I can do. I've never been a victim, but I know of one.
Mhm.
So that's why I do a lot of shows for domestic violence. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is domestic violence. I want you guys to come back. Now, we may not do this, but we will have other guests, but you never know who may or may not show up. I want you guys, even if you just come and just be there so we can end this week, because I've been on every single night. Tomorrow night is the end, the finale. So I want anybody that wants to be on the show so we can just bless other people. So if you guys aren't doing anything, it's Friday night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask our other bestie because we're like the three musketeers.
Oh yeah, Gigi. Gigi has a really good story too. She is beautiful. She is a beautiful Latina.
Miss
Tell
USA.
ask her if you can get in touch with me, because I need to find out who is and isn't gonna be here tomorrow. Maybe we can bring her on tomorrow. Have her reach out to me, like real talk. We'll put
Okay.
you know how we do. All we need to do is put some lashes on and we're good.
Yeah.
Just throw some lashes.
I don't know how to
You
do
should
that.
see how quickly I had to dress. Like,
I'm bare today.
no, you look
I
beautiful.
just washed off today. That's work. Like no,
Get out of here. I want you guys to say
Let me
something
go get my
encouraging to anyone that may be watching this broadcast that's suffering in silence, that don't know what to do. I want you guys briefly, each one of you, give me like maybe 2 minutes, each one of you, so we can wrap up and just encourage the viewers. Start with you, Nicole.
I would definitely say that one of the academics of the world today is domestic violence. It's literally the silent killer because you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to breathe about it,
Mhm.
feel it, nothing. I can guarantee you this. I may have a ton of followers on all my social media accounts. If you are in need and if you need help, call me, text me. Well, you may not have my number, but call me, message me, blow my phone up at 4 a.m. in the morning. If you absolutely have to have somebody to talk to, I will pick up that phone and I will talk to you and I will try to talk you down. And if we need to escalate it to something else, we're going to do it safely because I completely understand. You can't just up and walk out and be like, peace, I'm gone.
Right.
It's not going to work that way, but there
Mhm.
are ways out. We can find shelters or we can find other accommodations that may be in your city. Yes, I live in Texas. Yes, I miss Florida. I don't care if you're in Africa, Zimbabwe, Australia.
That's
We
right.
know queens all over the world too.
Mhm.
We will find a way and we will make a plan to help you get out.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
Miss Nakia.
And
Take us
so,
home.
following up with Nicole, look, we are here to help you. There are resources available. There are people. We network with people all over the world, all over the country, to be able to help you with a safety plan or a way of escape, so that you can be able to be safe and be live. Don't be afraid. Speak up. Reach out to any one of us. Let us know. Hey, I'm going through that. Statistics state that most of domestic violence is with women, and the ethnicity of it is African American women, because they are afraid to speak up and tell someone, and they've been taught that they're not supposed to talk about it. You should not be ashamed. You should not be afraid. There is help for you. The domestic violence hotline is listed here on this page. Listen, we're here to help you. We are advocates of change. We are advocates for those who are voiceless. Even if you are scared, we will do anything in our capacity to get you to freedom. So reach out and let us know. Let someone know that you are going through these things before it becomes end, and we don't want it to be that way.
That's right. Shirley says, you don't look like what you've come through. Neither one of
Amen.
you. I'm telling you, both of you, just
Amen.
beautiful. Listen, I love to end my show sometimes with a motivational message, because I like for it to stick. I want to
Mhm.
seal this message tonight. And I like what you said, Nakia, about, and this especially fits, because I'll be honest with you guys, I only knew bits and pieces of this story coming onto this broadcast. I learned moments before we went live that it was a lesbian
Yeah.
type situation. And so I said, I
I'm
knew
not.
God
I
was
am
going to do
delivered from
something.
homosexuality. I just
She's
openly share my story and be transparent about the things that I endure. But I am set free. Hallelujah, in the name of Jesus.
hallelujah. That's right. All right. All right. But I want to say this because of what you said earlier about why you are here, Nakia. And I want to give this little brief motivational message to keep encouraging you and to let go of the naysayers. To hell with them. Okay. So I want you guys to picture this dark room. Okay. And I'm gonna put a lamp there. All right. I want y'all to picture this. It's not that deep, but it is important to get the message. If I walk into this room and I flip on a light switch, and people who are in the dark, they're in this room, there's no effect to the light. If I have this, let me start over because I want to make sure you guys get this. I want you guys to imagine a dark room.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to set a lamp on the table in this dark room. Now, the dark room represents people that are lost. Okay. If I put that light there and flip it on, now the light has become effective because now people can see. But Nakia, people want you to reach the people that are straight, serving God and all that kind of stuff. If that room is already lit and I turn that lamp on, it's not going to be effective.
Yeah.
Because we can see. You can't even tell the difference. It's only effective when the room is dark. And that's who you are. You are that lamp in a dark room, and you are being effective. Because if you walk into the room and everybody's straight and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, you're not effective. God used you so that you can be that light in that dark room. Because if everybody's the same and there's light already on, then we are not serving our purpose. I don't need that light. You might as well get rid of the lamp because it's not necessary. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. God is using you in that room. Did y'all get that? I hope y'all got that.
Yes,
Because I had to listen. This is after about 15 hours worth of coming out of my brain. You know, maybe my wig's too tight. I don't know. But I hope that you guys got something out of tonight's broadcast. Listen, this was not the show. And you know, Nakia, because let me tell y'all, let me just be transparent. And Nakia can vouch for this. Nakia came into the scene, 2 or 3 days ago to be on the show tonight. Everybody else that was supposed to be here tonight, where are they, Nakia?
They're not here. They're
show.
Not here.
No show, no response, no nothing. And I said, you know what? And what did we do before we started this broadcast, Nakia?
Pray.
Yeah.
That's right. Always pray.
Because this is bigger than us.
Yes, it is.
And when we realize that, God can use it.
Yes,
this is not about the Ella Johnson show. I don't care anything about that. I just put my name on it. I really put my name on it because somebody told me I'm supposed to. It was going to be the Mahogany Bronze Hour. You know where mahogany comes from? Because I used to sell Mary Kay, and my foundation color was mahogany bronze. So that's where I got the name Mahogany Bronze as my stage name because of my foundation color for Mary Kay a long time ago. But I don't use Mary Kay anymore. Sorry. I'm a back girl now. But anyway, guys, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Anything? Nothing?
No.
Well, it's been great.
I thank you for letting me come on tonight and share, and I really appreciate you and your support.
And we didn't know that we were going to have Nicole. She was like the surprise. I was like, girl, let me put the link. And I've never done that before. Y'all don't understand. I never put the link to my studio in the show because I usually have my guest here. But God knew that somebody else was supposed to be here, and it was you, Nicole. So I'm so excited that you were here.
I was trying to miss it because Kia messaged me, and I said, I'm in counseling right now.
And I said, well, tell her to come on anyway.
Yeah.
I love where I needed to be at both times. So I'm glad.
I'm telling you, I am excited. Well, listen, guys, it has tomorrow night. Listen, I have a couple more comments here. I love for people to bring their she says powerful. Yes, it was a powerful conclusion.
Amen.
You mean my story? So you got it? Yes.
Yeah.
All I'm saying to you guys is that we're all a light, and God uses our story for us to be effective. Don't be afraid to go in the places He's called you. So if that room is full of lesbians,
Mhm.
which is what the world considers a dark room, you
Mhm.
let your light shine. God gave you that for a reason.
Yeah.
You went through this for a reason, Nakia.
Mhm.
100%. You too, Nicole. Look at you guys. Y'all are sitting up here wearing slashes. I've never had a sash. I mean, sash. I said slashes.
Oh,
You guys, I've never had a sash.
East Texas.
Girl, wouldn't that make, you know what? I don't want to have to go through what y'all had to go through to get that sash. I'm just saying.
Yeah, please
I'm
don't
good.
go through that. Please do not go through that. But you can use it as your platform if you'd like.
Amen. Listen, let me tell you guys,
Beauty
like
for
I started the
ashes.
broadcast, I started out saying that people want the success, but nobody wants to struggle.
Yes.
And listen, in the pit is sometimes your protection. I know it may seem like, oh my God, I'm in a bad place. No, sometimes we're in a pit because God is hiding us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
He's hiding us. But just like in the Bible, the story of Joseph, he was in a pit. Where did he end up? In a
In the
palace.
palace.
The
Yes.
pit is sometimes necessary.
Mhm.
And I'm going to stick a pin in that tonight. We're going to get out of here. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We will be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is the real domestic violence show. So I want anyone who has a story of domestic violence, hit me up tomorrow. Reach out to Nakia or Nicole, because I want everybody that wants to come on, just come on tomorrow night. I know what we had planned, but it's the final night. It's Friday night. Why not? Let's
Yeah.
celebrate the awareness of domestic violence. All right,
Amen.
guys. I know I've said I'm getting out of here like 10 times now. I really am getting out this time. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see
Good
you again
night.
right here tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central, right here on the Ella Johnson Show. You guys have a good night. See you
Good
next time.
night.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.